So after downloading and installing the Java virtual machine from Night Night, I was able to open it. I created a new project called Talend Tutorial, and when you open it, this new version of Talend has this little introduction. So take this quick tour. You can see here is your repository view, so you can just look through your project and look through different jobs you're running. This is your workspace. This is where you're going to build components and write SQL, manage the entire job from right here. Any specifics on a component you're going to view right here. Then those include like database connections, SQL you need to write, data formats in which, so if you select something and it has to be a date, this is where you would set it to be a date in Java. This is the palette. These are all the components that you can drag and drop into here, and that's it. And it's going to ask you to install some stuff, so just go ahead and do that. You can accept all of them, it's fine. You might get a warning saying, is it okay to let Talend connect to websites or outside networks, and just click yes. You can view it downloading and doing stuff in the bottom right. Right now it's at 0%. So it has this beginners project already open for you. So here you can see our job designs. I'll make a new folder, and then I'll create a job in there. Read from database. You can fill the rest of it out if you want to. It's not really necessary. So specifically in this tutorial, we're using MySQL, which they have a specific section for right here. So here's all your components for MySQL. If you're using a different database type tool, they're in here. Teradata's in there, Oracle's in there. So no matter what database software you're using, you could most likely find it in here. And if you're not familiar with some of these, this application can help you familiarize yourself with it. Familiarize yourself. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. So first thing we need to do is make a connection to our database, which would be this component. So we'll double click on this, and then we'll bring this up so we can view it a little bit better. Looks like an external jar needs to be installed, so we'll go ahead and install that. So that was pretty easy. So we'll have to make a connection to a database. I'm selected from a repository, which there are none, and you can see that this is the metadata folder that's over here in the repository. I'm not actually sure if you can view this thing that came up here. But I will go over to metadata, go to database connections, and create a new connection. A window will come up and ask you the name of it, and it'll want you to put in the database type, which we're using MySQL, and then the login, password, server, and port, and then you click check, and then it connects to the database for you. Okay, so we have a database running locally already. I was conveniently doing a tutorial on MySQL, so I already actually have a MySQL server up and running. So I was able to connect to that. So I'm going to click finish. I have a database connection ready to go now in a repository. I will click that ellipses button, a window will appear. I'll click down in metadata to click down on DB connections, and then click the database connection I just made. And now you can see there's the database connection I just made with my information in it. And what we can do now is actually name this more unique local database. So one of my biggest pet peeves when I'm editing a talent job is that I'll inherit something from somebody else and I don't know what any of this stuff does. And just making short, simple connection names like that are increasingly helpful. So now what I'm going to do is use this component called MySQL input, and you can see what we're doing here is just doing a normal select statement. So this gets information from a database, then you write it to a mapping, which I'll show you in a sec. But we'll just do this and then I'll break off to another video. So what we're going to say is on this subjob, okay, it's going to go down here. And you can see in this component it has some properties. So this is asking what database connection we want to use. And I'm going to check use existing connection, and I'm going to select the component that we just built. So then we can enter the table name in here, or you can specify it in a SQL. And I'm just going to select all from employees. And anytime you write SQL in one of these components, it has to be surrounded by double quotes, because this is all Java, and this whole thing is interpreted as a string object, which has to be surrounded by double quotes. So if you want something that if you use an alias for something in your SQL, you're going to have to write it in single quotes. So now what I'm going to do is just log that out to the screen. So I will get a tlog statement, which I don't know where it is, but I can just search for it by typing it and hitting the enter. And here's the tlog row button. So then I will say main iteration is going to go to here. I'm going to view this and just print to screen. I'm going to do this. And I'll have to edit the schema. This is important, so I'll make a separate video of this. So I'm going to go ahead and stop and